It's good.
What's the nicest thing that happened to you on holiday?
Um, each day was good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see. Okay, so let's get to our business. Yeah. Yeah. So we are talking about different types of texts. Yeah. We've already covered opinion essay and the letter. Yeah. And today we gonna talk about how to write a story, a narrative story. Yeah? But first of all, let's just recall 5 do's, 5 things we should do while writing a story or anything, any type of text.
You mean like which is you like the thing? How many points we get for each thing, or
Mm,
what?
yeah, I mean, like, what should we do to write a good story? What's like maybe the
We should
advice we can say? Mm-hmm.
write a plan, maybe. Write a plan, maybe. Also,
Yeah.
think about the words that we need um, in the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Also, we should think about different grammar structures that we can use
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and understand how which type of text like should we have like for whom we're writing. So is it
Yeah.
formal? Yeah, and that's all.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, look, yeah, first, we think carefully about what this task type requires. Yeah.
Mhm.
Then, read the task very carefully. Identify what exactly must be included. Yeah. Make a plan. You've mentioned that. Yeah. And check your work in the end. Mhm. So, in this story task, yeah, so they give you a sentence and 2 like elements of your story. You write a narrative text, a narrative story, starting with a given sentence and including these 2 elements. Yeah? So what they test is your ability to narrate, holding the reader's attention, yeah? Order the events logically, like sequence the events, yeah? And use different cohesive devices to show their sequencing, yeah? And of course, if we are speaking of grammar, that's past tenses mainly. Yeah? So let's look at the example. Yeah? So this is like that. The first sentence. When Susie's family arrived at the hotel, they were surprised to see hundreds of photographers waiting outside. And you have to mention, yeah, a famous person and like a request. Yeah, a request.
What does it mean, like a request?
Request is like something you need to do, yeah, or kind of question, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go over the criteria and what exactly we need to do for each criteria in this type of text, and then we'll see the example. So the first criterion is content, as you remember, yeah, content. So for the narrative story, what must the content look like?
Maybe we should have theme. We should have a place where, like, residence expression. And we should have that's all.
So look, if we try to draw like a scheme of a narrative story, yeah, it would look something like that. So the first element, yeah, which is sometimes called preface, yeah, where you like explain everything. You introduce the future characters of your story, yeah. You introduce the future characters and you tell about the place, when and where the story took place, yeah, and so on. Then we describe the development of the event, yeah. So first, that's the starting point, yeah, like the one event that triggered the story, yeah. And then developing the story, like going up, 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 yeah. Then we have this. This is like a climax, yeah. The key point, the most important point, yeah. The point of the maximum tension, yeah. Then we have this like going down, yeah, releasing the tension. And finally, we round it up with the epilogue, yeah? Like what the people feel and where they are and what they do after the story, yeah? So if we draw it like a line, yeah, it would be, so first the starting point, yeah, the preface, then triggering event, then it goes up, 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 the tension building up, then here's the climax, and then relieving of the tension and the epilogue. So something like that it would be, yeah? So this is concerning content. Yeah? Now, do you remember what's the next criterion?
Criteria.
Yeah.
Language maybe.
And number 2 is called communicative achievement. Yeah. So this is style and some kind of necessary vocabulary. Yeah. So what style should this be?
Informal, like semi-formal, I would say.
Yeah, semi-formal. And what are like maybe some specific words you might use in this type of text?
Maybe once upon a time, like that.
And
To end the story.
And then the phrases which might help you. Look, one of the key formulas here is hold the target reader's attention. Yeah. So in this text, you might hold the reader's attention with these things like, guess what? Or believe it or not, suddenly, unexpectedly, would you believe it? All at once, and all that stuff, yeah? So, and what's the next criterion?
Language.
That's before language. We have organization, yeah, which deals with making the text cohesive and coherent. Yeah. So what kind of words do we mostly need to make the narrative story coherent?
Well, what does coherent actually mean?
So to make this narrative story cohesive and coherent, what kind of words do we need?
We need like starter words, like and words like I don't really know for sure.
Yes, so what words do we need to begin the story?
Once upon a time or once barely. Um, thousands years ago. So
So I thought of such as, yeah, at first, in the beginning, first of all, initially, to start off, yeah, a very interesting one, at that onset, yeah, which means like at that moment. So to continue the story, what words do we need to continue the story?
I don't know how they're called, but maybe like suddenly, and from I just don't know the word that explains feelings, maybe like I know styles here, but I don't know.
This is like, look, yeah, later on, afterwards, after that, as soon as, next, suddenly, immediately, and so on, yeah? And to round that up, to finish,
Maybe finally or
yeah,
maybe um, this day was so like or this month was so busy or something like that, and
lastly, eventually, in the end, yeah, okay. And what other words to refer to time can we use?
maybe the days like
Look, yeah, all always, at present, at that time, by now, during, and so on and so on, yeah? Okay. Well, and the last one is really, yes, language. Right, yeah, language. Okay. And what what area of language will we use mostly for this narrative story?
I think the past.
Exactly. Past tenses. So just very quickly, let's kind of revise them. Yeah. So when do we use, in what situations do we use the past simple?
Like when something happened in the past.
Yeah, so like one singular event in the past. Yeah. For instance, I don't know, Jane visited me yesterday. Yeah. Number one. Okay, what else can past simple show?
Also things we do regular.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did regular in the past. Past habits. What else?
Like, I went to the park, or I think that's all.
What about past states? Things like I felt happy last week. Yeah. Or she was ill last Friday. Or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
And one more thing is like I would call it series of events in the past. Yeah. So this is something like I came home from school, took off my coat, switched on the computer, and put my pizza into a microwave. Yeah. Like a series of events, one after another. Yeah. So, and how do we form past simple?
V2, like verb in second
Yeah,
form.
yeah, the second form of the verb, yeah. And if we are making the negation, the negative,
Then we'll have two teeth in the past form and
yeah,
be plus.
yeah, did and the first form. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we try to draw the timeline, yeah, then past simple would be something like, so we have this now, yeah, now, and past simple would be like single event, yeah, or a series of events, yeah, or like prolonged states, like that. Yeah, for instance, I was sad. So, got it?
Yes.
Okay. Next, past continuous. So when do we use that?
To talk about things that happened in past for a long time, and to talk about things that happened in past in like exact time.
Exactly, right. So the situation number 1 is when we have certain points in time, yeah? Like for instance, I was sleeping from 3 to 6 yesterday, yeah? And we know this exactly from 3 to 6, yeah? And this is how long it lasted, yeah? The next situation will be when, right, as you said, when we know the exact time and the action was long in its nature, yeah? That's things like I was reading at 4 o'clock. Yeah? We don't know how long time exactly, but at that given moment, we were in the process. Yeah. The third case is called the interrupted activity. Yeah. Interrupted activity. It may be shown like this. Yeah. For instance, I was sleeping when she phoned. So I started sleeping somewhere here, yeah? Then I slept, then bang, she phoned, and then I continued sleeping, yeah? And the last thing will be 2 prolonged activities, yeah? 2 prolonged activities at the same time. For example, if a teacher left the classroom and told you, well, class, everyone, you read this paragraph while I'm out, yeah? And when the teacher comes back, some of you might complain and say, like, Miss Johnson, while I was reading the paragraph, Jack was playing the computer game on his mobile, yeah? So this would be.
There are rats and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And how do we form it?
It's like, so it's the same time, right?
Hmm?
Past. So
Continuous, past continuous.
so Jack was, maybe it's like 2 actions in one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would say one action. Like there are 2 actions in one small one.
And what happens to the verb if we want to form past continuous?
It goes in third form. Past continuous.
Continuous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, continuous.
Uh-huh.
Then we like add was, were, and the verb has like has ing suffix.
Yeah, the ing ending. Okay. And what about past perfect? When do we use past perfect?
To show the result.
Result by
Now time.
not by now. If it's by now, it would be present perfect.
Oh, past. But
The result by a certain moment in the past. Yeah. So it looks like, for instance, so this is now, yeah, and let it be by, by the time I had saved enough money, by the time I saved enough money, they had already sold their trainers. Yeah? So I want to buy the trainers, but I have no money. I decided to save that money. Yeah. And I saved and saved and saved and saved. And finally, yesterday, hooray, I saved
but this
as much money as I need, yeah? And I
these trainers had finished already.
and I came to the shop, yeah? But did I buy the trainers?
No.
No, why not?
Because there were no of it. Like they're finished.
Yeah. So in some time, let it be, for example, let's imagine it happened this time, yeah? They sold the last pair of trainers. So this is the past and something that happened in a more distant past that is connected with this past action, okay? Like that, yeah? So there may be, look, like two cases, yeah? The first case is where we've got two actions, yeah? And we use the action which is closer to present. We use present simple. And for the action which is in a more distant past, we use past perfect, yeah? The same scheme is, for instance, when I came home, my mom had already cooked dinner. Yeah. So I came home somewhere here. Yeah, I came home. And before that, my mom had cooked dinner. So here in this past, I have a result. I had the result. I had something to eat. Yeah. But another case, very, very similar. The only difference is that we don't have the action, we have the stated time point. For example, it may be like 6 p.m. Yeah? 6 p.m. last Friday, yeah, for example. She had cooked dinner by 6 p.m. last Friday, yeah. So again, the main action happened sometime here, yeah, and it had the obvious result by the stated past point. So this is like past perfect. And how do we form it?
So it's gonna be have had.
Yeah, it's had. And
Verb in first.
yeah, exactly. And the last thing is the last tense is the past perfect continuous. Yeah, past perfect continuous. So what does this one mean?
It's like when it's like the same like past continuous, but there are also like there was like a big like my mom was cooking when I had when I yes my mom when I come
Mm, this, for me, this looks like past perfect, but the only difference is that the second action is prolonged. Yeah. So, for example, this is today. Yeah. Yesterday, I felt tired. So here, I felt tired because I had been using my computer for 2 hours. Yeah. So this is the long activity that happened before another activity in a nearer past. Yeah. And which had obvious consequences. Yeah. Or for instance, you might say something like, last week I had been working in St. Petersburg for 20 years. Yeah. So by last week, there was a result of me living in St. Petersburg for 20 years. Like that. Yeah. Got it?
yes.
So this is like past perfect, but in past perfect, the result is triggered by a quick action like this. Whereas in past perfect continuous, the result is triggered by the long action. If you say, by 6 o'clock, I had typed 10 letters yesterday, that means that there was the obvious result, and that would be past perfect. But if you say, by 6 o'clock, I had been typing these letters for 3 hours, this would be perfect continuous, like the result of a longer activity. Okay. And how do we form it?
Like there are two verbs
Yeah.
belonging in past continuous, and then thing that like interrupts this action gonna be in past perfect.
So this like had been, yeah, plus inform. Okay. So, any questions here?
No.
No, right. And speaking of vocabulary, yeah, what words will we mostly need to write a good narrative story?
Mm,
Maybe not just words, but types of words.
the part.
You'll need verbs, yeah? Like first we did this, and then I did that, and then I opened that, and blah, 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 yeah? And also, to make our story brighter, we'll need lots of
Verbs
and lots
yeah,
of adjectives, yeah? Lots of adjectives. Like compare, if we say something like, we went along the river, yeah? Or we can say, we quietly crept along the beautiful river with crystal clear waters, yeah? So more adjectives and adverbs. Okay. Well, and now let's recall this task once again, yeah? When Susie's family arrived at the hotel, they were surprised to see hundreds of photographers waiting outside and a famous person and a request, yeah? So these are the three moments you need to necessarily have in your story in terms of context, content, yeah? The first sentence, something about a famous person, and something about a request. So let's have a look.
when Susie's family arrived, they were hundreds of photographers. They had no idea what was going on. Everyone acting like crazy. It wasn't a famous hotel. The only thing less famous than the hotel itself are the silence of the clients of each one. Uh, so why would or Drew be interested in the because they are already they entered the hotel. Everything seemed normal until they hadn't had a proper dinner. The restaurant in the hotel was what they would serve. After the there had been the people and the steak they ordered garlic for them to choose the steak. The the celebrity show up. He was born and run by a famous chef. He was had been shooting his serious hotel house here. He asked everyone to leave. Unusual request from him. Because he closed each and everyone knew was certain and regret every bite.
Okay, so Did the writer start with the sentence given?
Yes.
Yeah. Did she mention a celebrity?
Mention a celebrity. Yes.
Yeah. And did she mention a request?
Request. I forgot. What is that?
Like asking to do something.
Yes, Julie.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So all these three things, yeah? And all in all, does this story make sense? Does it look like a whole narrative?
Yes.
I would say, yeah. So the maximum is 5. How many points would you give for the content?
5.
5. Okay, 5. Now, speaking of communicative achievement, is the text interesting?
Yes.
Yeah. Does it steal your attention and hold it?
Yes.
Are there any maybe phrases to make the text more appealing, nicer?
Mm, like, yes, I would push for everything.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So,
So how many points would you give for communicative achievement?
5.
5. Okay. Next one is organization, yeah, like layout. So this is linkers, logics, and all that stuff. So what can you say about that?
Like, there was one he had ends, so like he got the -4 in like 4 points. I don't know. It's like language, I think.
So probably this text needs a bit more linkers, yeah? But definitely there are some. Because, yeah, until,
Yeah.
so, after, before, yeah, and so on. By the way, speaking of holding the reader's attention, did you mention the rhetorical question here? This rhetorical question, yeah. So, why would any photographer or journalist be interested in this place?
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. In the Russian exams, the examiners don't like rhetorical questions. But in FCE, yes, it's a very good technique to use. So, how many points would you give for organization?
5. Sorry.
5. Okay. And language?
5.
So do we use all for past tenses here? Yes, we've got lots of past simples, yeah? Where do we have past continuous?
Mm,
For example, what was going on? Yeah? And where do we have past perfect?
wait.
They hadn't had a proper meal for the whole day. Yeah?
Oh.
And where do we have past perfect continuous?
Perfect, past perfect. What we were looking past.
Yeah, they had been looking for. They had been looking for. Okay. So language is also 5, you think, yeah? Did you notice any mistakes?
No.
No. Okay. Now let's have a look at the expert. So 5 content, yes. Why? Look. From the prompt, yes, includes a famous person and a request. So all these 3 points, yeah. Language, yes. So all the grammatical structures, yeah. Less common lexemes, such as, yeah, proper meal, disgusting, and so on, yeah. There are a few errors, but they don't impede communication, so no need to focus on the errors, yeah? But here, look, communicative achievement, we have 4, not 5. Let's have a look. Why? The conventions, chronological development, narrative verb forms, and varying sentence length for dramatic effect. I used okay, yeah. Both straightforward and complex ideas are communicated. So it's virtually perfect, yeah, but not ideal. And look, for organization, we've got 3. Why?
Because it says using very implicating words and cohesive. So why would because
And we need more different linkers, yeah, maybe. Okay, so, and now let's try to write our own story, yeah? So, the first sentence, let me, that's it. When Susie's family arrived, they were surprised to see hundreds of photographers. So Oh, just 1
I just
second.
want
So,
I have a lesson about just like
so
yeah in like so
okay. So then, do you think you would be able to write that yourself on your own?
a story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to find time.
Mhm. Okay, so I'll send you the task, yeah, and you try to write that story within the maybe 4 or 5 days, so that you send it to me and I check it before our next meeting. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right.